Welcome to Miracle Network's Wednesday meditation. I'm so glad we're all here together. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to click the subscribe button below to receive updates and notifications. Today we're joined by Nick Arandes, who will lead us in meditation. Then we'll have 20 minutes of silence. After that, we'll open it up for sharing, and we end at 10:45. Over to you, Nick.
Okay, well, welcome everybody. And as always, based on the teachings of A Course in Miracles, at least my understanding and how I put it into practice, what we're going to do is that although we call it meditation, it's actually an opportunity to just rest in our natural state, which is not a state, it's just a way, it's a word. So you can do it with your eyes closed or your eyes open, however you feel comfortable. What matters is that we're going to just be conscious of how we are identified just by habit with thinking, or I should say, believing our thinking. And that is the only obstacle to what we, to our essence. So, so right now, Teresa, from this point on, you can begin the timing of the 20 minutes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to remind us of chapter 4 from the Course in Miracles, which I love, the sentence that states, if you're willing to renounce to be the guardian of your thought system and offer it to me, I will correct it very gently and lead you back to God. So what I want you to do right now, not to do anything, is just a way of languaging. Right this moment, okay? What is your experience? Now pay attention, because if you answer me, you are overlooking the experience which I am pointing to, and you're back in the mind. The mind will try to give an answer. I'm feeling at peace. I feel tranquility, space-like. All of these are concepts. And we're pointing to what is beyond all concepts. And that is what you are. That is what is referred to as the peace that passes all understanding. So I would like to read the title of the first 10 lessons of A Course in Miracles, so you can see how it always points to the same thing. As you're resting in this space, or space-like, notice direct experience right now. It's not personal. It's just what is. It's direct experience always. Whether you're cooking, whether you're exercising, whether you're talking to someone, whether you're changing the baby's diapers, whether you're on an airplane, this background, it's always the same. It never changes. The only thing that overshadows that background, which is our ever-present eternal beingness, is a thought. Not actually a thought, I would say a thought believed in. That's it. Thoughts will appear. That's what they do. The mind cannot be stopped, cannot be controlled, but it can be seen. And this is what I refer to as meditation. It's not something that we do for a short period of time throughout the day, and then we find ourselves distracted or engaged with our daily activities. It's simply the ongoing recognition that I am. And if I don't believe the content of the mind, then I rest in peace. So the first lesson of the course says, nothing I see means anything. What is it telling me? Everything I see is just that. But when I go to the mind, thought, well, thought begins to project meaning onto things. So we are never reacting to the circumstances, not even to thoughts. We are always reacting to the meaning we give to them. If you withdraw the meaning, you're at peace. That's the Course in Miracles once again. If you're willing to renounce to be the guardian of your thought system and offer it to me, I will correct it very gently and lead you back to God, which in reality is actually leading you back to the place you are right this moment, which is the background that never changes. Put it to the test right now. If you do not identify with any thoughts, I did not say the thoughts will not be there. They are there. That's fine. It's like passing class, but don't identify with them. That's all. Do not try to control the mind because that'll be giving them power. That gives power to the mind. Just let it be. Nothing I see means anything. Lesson number 2. I have given everything I see all the meaning that it has for me. It's another variation, but bringing you back to the same space, which is right this moment, which is eternal. Lesson number 3, these thoughts do not mean anything. See? Lesson number 4, I am never upset for the reason I think, because the reason I think is a thought that I have interpreted. It's a story. But what if I just know nothing? You see? Lesson number 5, I am upset because I see something that is not there. What is not there? The meaning, the interpretation. The senses will perceive things. Hearing happens, seeing happens, sensing happens, but I am. And if I don't identify with whatever the mind is trying to tell me about what the sensors are uh, sensing, it's okay, everything is fine. Lesson number 6, I see only the past. What is the past? A thought. It's not a real past. There's no past. Put it to the test. You see that there's no past. There is a thought in the present moment relating about a past, but there is no past. There's only direct experience. Lesson number 7, my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. You see? Not with the past, but the thoughts in the present moment that I'm identified with. Lesson number 8, I see nothing as it is now. Because seeing happens, but when I interpret it, which is thinking, I am not seeing things as they are. I see them as I am conditioned to see them. Because we all can look at the same scene and it will have a different meaning for each of us. And according to our meaning, we react accordingly. But if you renounce to being the guardian of your thought system, then you rest in the same place we all rest. Lesson number 9, my thoughts do not mean anything. Do you see how it's repeating itself, even though it may use different words? Lesson number 10. My meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. And we can go on through all the lessons, and they point to the same thing. So right now, I want you to bring to mind any problem you think you have. If it's very overwhelming, then just bring something that may not be, because the overwhelming is not the problem. Because right now you're sitting, listening to my voice, and whatever problem you think you may have is not there. It's in the mind. So whatever you think is the problem, the concern, is just a thought. Bring it to the mind, but just look at it. That's what Jesus asks us to do through the whole Course in Miracles. He says, look, do not judge. Let me handle the judgment, because I am trying to help you see that you're simply reacting to your own thinking. And what Jesus does is that gives us an opportunity to rest in the presence, which is what we are right now. Right now, again, just look. Looking is not changing, is not trying to wanting things to be different. Everything is perfect as it is. Only the interpretation is what suggests that it is not perfect. But everything is perfect as it is if I do not believe the content of the mind. This is not theory. Put it to the test right now. Let the thoughts in your mind be. Let them be. Don't try to change them. Don't try to force them. And if you let them be, then what is your experience? And you can see the obviousness towards where this is pointing to. And a thought may arise. Yeah, but what's going to happen then? Or what's going to happen if? And I'm inviting you to notice that that argument is a thought. You see? When you can look at everything as such, it's like, oh my God, this is common sense. It's just, I've always been reacting to the content of the mind, and the invitation is just to be right now. Are you not being? You see? Let's look at the meaning of forgiveness. Forgiveness does absolutely nothing. It's simply mere, it's observe, and it doesn't judge. This is meditation. Notice right now. What's wrong with right now? Unless you think that there's something wrong with right now. Things should be different. No, they don't. They just simply are. Take the interpretation of that of this moment, take it out. Don't believe the thought, whatever the thought may be. And fear, worry, concern, all of it immediately drops away. And that's the invitation. We're not denying anything. We're not suppressing anything. We're just being. Now, when it gets a little bit challenging is when a feeling arises. Well, a feeling is just a feeling. That's all. What happens is that a feeling appears, a thought appears. It doesn't matter which one appeared first. They're two independent, different things. But the mind takes the feeling, it gives it a meaning, it interprets it, and now all of a sudden it appears as if I am in a very difficult situation when in reality it's just a thought by itself. There's a feeling by itself. And Jesus says from chapter 14, when your peace is disturbed in any way, shape, or form, simply say this: I do not know the meaning of anything, including this. Therefore, I do not know how to respond to it, and I will not allow my past, which is thoughts, conditioning, judgment, I will not allow my past to be the guide or the light to guide me now. So we practice it first with thoughts when there are no feelings. And when the feeling shows up, and we see the mind trying to interpret the feeling, we go back again to lesson number 1. Nothing means anything. Or lesson number 5. I'm never upset for the reasons I think. We could also say I'm never excited for the reasons I think. It's not just to the word upset. It's basically trying to point to that we are never reacting for the reasons I think. Because I am always the ever present being. Right now, you are being right now. Nothing has to change. Nothing has to be different. You simply are. I am that I am. And once again, put it to the test. I am not going to leave you here with theory. I want you to experience it right now. Before, when a thought will seem to be very overwhelming to you, or a seeming challenge or a concern, which is a thought, I'm inviting you to simply be. And if a feeling may come up, don't associate one with the other one, just be. Breathe in, and there you are. See? Maybe in the past you might have reacted, but now you're becoming conscious, and that's what we're doing here. We're becoming conscious that I'm never upset for the reasons I think. I'm never reacting for the reasons I think. All I know is that I am. And this is not an exercise to push away feelings, then we're missing the mark. This is a recognition of what we are. And everything is accepted. Nothing needs to be changed. Everything is perfect just as it is. If I don't give meaning, if I don't believe my thoughts, I am at peace. And that's why it's referred to as the peace that passes all understanding. And that's invitation, not only for the rest of this meditation, but for the rest of your life, which is not in time, in space. is right now. If this sinks in right now, this is how you will live always. That's the happiness and the peace that we've been searching for through acquisitions, through fantasizing. There we are. This is it. Rest in that. Rest in that. Nothing means anything. And in this space, there are no questions because questions are thoughts. Consequently, answers are not needed. Just be. And yes, life will gonna be filled with pleasures and pains, but no suffering. Because there's no identification with the content of the mind. And that's how you live happy and in peace. Now let's enjoy the remaining of our time here for this moment of silence.
Open your eyes and come back into the room. We have uh, we have 18 minutes left for sharing. If you'd like to share, raise your hand and I'll invite you to take yourself off mute. Jim, take yourself off mute.
Thank you, Dan, and thank you, Nick. That was wonderful. When I go to that place where there are no questions, eventually a question arises. And it would be good to have you speak about the relationship between unconscious guilt and other effects in our lives. Of course, tells us that the unconscious guilt is coming from the belief in separation, and it manifests as judgment. The way in which we judge others reflects our unconscious guilt. But are there other ways in which this unconscious guilt, which we don't seem to have access to, manifests in our lives, please, apart from judgment?
Well, first things first, remember, the course is talking to the mind that is dreaming all this stuff. It's not talking to the person, you know? Unconscious guilt is the language that it uses to sort of kind of explain that the reason why the dream is seem to be happening because somehow I have what's the word in English? When you when somebody trusts you and then all of a sudden you just kind of like a traitor or something. What would be the word? Like you have by projecting the dream, I feel guilty because I have Jesus Christ, what's the name? When let's say I trust you with something and then you go ahead and I cannot find the
Betrayed.
There you go. Thank you so much. So the term unconscious guilt for the course's language is that I feel guilty because I have betrayed God. And the dream is the dream in which I hide, you see, in order to somehow hide from God, because that's the guilt, the unconscious guilt. Now, I don't want to take responsibility that I have chosen to project the dream. So what I do is I project my unconscious guilt onto everyone to make sure that everyone is the guilty one. I'm the innocent bystander, right? But again, this is just coarse language for the mind that is dreaming the dream. Now, Jesus says, you don't have to worry about any of that because you never separated from God. You see? In other words, if you're in bed and you're dreaming a dream, in the dream, you keep your eyes, you feel guilty because you feel that you left home. But your parents are next to you saying, sweetheart, you never left home. You're reacting to the dream, but I cannot hear them because I am too distracted with the dream in my mind. You see? So Jesus says, don't worry about any of that. When you say, when you said at the beginning, I believe so that when I go to that space, see, there's no space to go to. You are not in that space. You are this space. You see, when I invited you, when I said, just don't identify with anything, with any thoughts, don't believe any thoughts, because questions are thoughts. You see, they appear. Okay. But as soon as you believe that you're this person, which is another thought, by the way, now a question arises and you think, oh, I have a question. And then you're waiting for an answer. But in the meantime, all of that is just pure distraction. And the Holy Spirit says, don't worry about the concepts. Don't worry about any of that. Simply, as you right now, if I ask you, what is your experience? But don't identify it with the mind trying to describe it. Right now, what is your experience, which is pure beingness? You cannot deny, you cannot say, I don't exist, put it this way. The problem is that you think you exist as a person. In this case, I am a person, I am a man, I am English, my name is James, These are all thoughts. But if you are willing to just rest in beingness, right, that is your ever-present experience. There's no questions there. Yeah, questions might be for practical reasons. How do I get to the supermarket? You just go 2 blocks and make a left. But regarding what you are is, you see? And now what you notice, the more you rest in that beingness, is that everything is transitory. Feelings are transitory. Thoughts are transitory. Situations are transitory, you see? But you remain, you see? And that's not a place you have to go to. That's where you're at. So what the Course points to is that notice how you're so identified with the thoughts, the content of the mind, and Jesus says, don't worry about it. Just do not put the attention there. He doesn't say, go somewhere. He's simply saying, you are at home in God. As the Course says, you are at home in God, you know, perfectly safe, at home in God, dreaming of exile, you see, but perfectly capable to awaken to your natural state. The problem is worth like awaken and all that stuff just puts us in time frame. Now the mind thinking, I will awake. No, you will not awake. You are awakeness. The problem is that you believe you are something. In this case, the character, you see? And the Holy Spirit says, just, you cannot comprehend any of this because the mind that is dreaming the dream cannot possibly comprehend any of this. This is why I'm using words to point to. A Course in Miracles has a state that says, this course would lead you to knowledge, but that is beyond the scope of what this course tried to teach, you know, and there's no need to talk about what is beyond words. And at the very beginning in introduction, this course cannot pretend to teach you the meaning of love because that is beyond that what can be taught. Pretends only remove the obstacles, you see? So we can talk conceptually about what unconscious guilt may mean, but that's only for the mind. That's not going, that simply all it does is just food for the mind. Mind loves to just kind of engage in all the kind of things. The Course is pointing to the obviousness of what is right now, right this moment. See, you cannot negate the fact of existence. That's it. But you're identified with the thoughts which you need to hold on to the sense of identity. And we're pointing beyond that. And this is experience. This is not theory, you know? You see, this is what we're pointing to. Just notice you are. You can never not be, you know? It's the mind that says, I am something. And Jesus says, don't worry about that. I'll handle the correction. But at least while you seem to be here, just take your thought system and offer it to me. That's all. That's all I'm asking you. Meaning, don't believe anything you think. That's it. You see? And at least you'll experience, by direct experience, a peace that is beyond the world. And then it's only a matter of just living like this until the dream disappears, which it never happened, by the way. You know, that's the only thing I would suggest to point to.
Thank you, Nick. Thanks very much.
You're welcome. I think Catherine had a, right, Catherine? Yeah.
Thank you for that, Nick. It was very wonderful having the lessons named in the context of renouncing guardianship of our thought system. I think one of them must have mentioned meaninglessness. I actually have two questions. I'll go with the other one. So is this your process for, we're told that the Holy Spirit will take us by the hand and retrace our steps, something like, I've got it actually, retraces with you your mad journey outside yourself. And at another point it says the wicked will come up in your mind for review. And I see those as our forgiveness assignments, if you like. So my question is, if stuff comes up for you, like a financial or physical or emotional hardship, is this your process of forgiveness to bring it and remember that, you know, things should be different versus things are different? Is that what you do when something comes up in your life? Yeah, thank you.
Okay. It's very simple. I don't do anything. Life happens. So the problem with the words, you know, which are very limiting, is that sometimes they seem to be overlooked. You know, they're pointing to something, but in the end, they're really not that helpful. You know, so answering to your question, let's say I get sick. Okay, that is just an experience that is no different than me talking to you. You see, forgiveness, if anything, is don't give any meaning to anything. That is the equivalent of surrendering my thought system. Because remember this, we don't have a process to go to. You see, we don't have to go to where you already are. You know, is the mind, the conceptual mind, and the identification with my feelings and sensation. And then I say, these are my feelings, and these are my sensations, and these are my thoughts. And the mind feast with that. And then it says, now we need to do a process, you know, so that hopefully, if you do this process, you will have whatever experience which the mind also conjures up. You see, if I didn't have any pain, that means that I am awakened. No, you're not awakened. Pain is just pain, you know. But if I don't believe the content of the mind, the experience is lived but not suffered, you know. The human experience is duality. We're going to have pain, we're going to have pleasure, we're going to have all kinds of thoughts because this is a polarity. We're going to have birth and we're going to have the end of the see, that's part of the human experience. But what you are simply is. So in the isness, which is what I am always as I'm talking to you, whether I'm having a headache, whether I'm in the hospital, whether I'm running, whether I'm in the bathroom, whether I'm cooking, you see, the I amness, it always remains. But the mind begins to conceptualize, you know, and that's the trap. And that's when the mind says, when I'm feeling bad, I need to do a process to get me to feel good. But whether I'm feeling bad or I'm feeling good, what it's underneath is the I amness, the I am that I am. So to answer your question, I do nothing. Like the Course in Miracles says, I need do nothing. I simply just see how life unfolds. Right now is talking to you. And maybe in an hour, maybe running. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe, see, life is. And if I do not protect my thought system, that is the equivalent of handing him over to the Holy Spirit. But if I try to hand my thought system to the Holy Spirit, I am creating the illusion of the I person and the Holy Spirit, something separate from me, which I'm going to hand over my thought system, and that keeps feeding the belief in separation, which is what the Course is trying to point to. The Course is not trying to heal the separation, it's trying to let us know that the separation has never occurred. And the only thing that gives the appearance that a separation has occurred is thinking, the content of the mind. So I do absolutely nothing. Life happens. It happens. That's it. And I am at peace with what is if I do not believe the content of the mind. I don't am never upset for the reasons I think. Nothing means anything, you know? And then life unfolds and I am life.
I'm really enjoying your playing with words to go beyond words.
Exactly.
And at the same time, I think they are just words, symbols of symbols. And for me, what we did joining here today, and you led us in so beautifully, I call a process, in that I showed up today.
Yeah.
You know, and you call doing nothing. But
Okay.
it's just,
Since I know we might be short of time, I'm going to leave you with this. Always when you're talking, notice when I say I was led to a process. I was thinking, I was doing this. There's no I. I'm pointing beyond. The moment you keep identifying with the I am thinking, I am doing a process, I am what, you're still reinforcing the I, which is non-existence. You see, I am pointing to experience, not a personal experience. You see, you didn't choose to be on this meeting. This is just what seemed to have happened. The moment this I wakes up in the morning, you didn't wake up in the morning. Life, which is what you are, move this seeming character or this seeming image. But all of us are the same I. All of us, you see, is the thought that compartmentalize everything and believe that I am Nick, you're Catherine, there's John and Annie, there is Dan, there is Teresa. That's not, this is the trap. And if we keep talking from that perspective, we just keep reinforcing the illusion. I am pointing, or through this instrument, is pointing to what is. If you don't identify with any thought, then the idea of I doing things or I thinking dissolved, even while there seems to be an I who's talking, an I who's thinking, or an I who's doing. But at the core, I know this is not true. This is where it's tricky. You see, this is where I'm trying to point to where you're at, but the mind tried to grasp it. Oh, so I'm here. No, you're not here. You are, you know? And then the mind is not going to grab it. And this is the frustration. We're trying to grab it with the mind. No. Just use the mind for execution, not for uh, uh, to understand or to just let execute. I need to go to the supermarket. Well, the mind knows how to get in the car, open the door, you do this, that's it. But not to try, don't use it as your advisor. Just leave it alone. The mind cannot grasp any of the things I'm saying because that is the undoing of itself. The mind doesn't want to die. It needs itself to believe that I am who I think I am. But if you are, the direct experience is peace, and that is undeniable. You see.
Okay, we've come to the end of our time together. Thank you, Nick. That was wonderful. Take yourself off mute and show your appreciation.
Thank you, Nick. It's
Thank
been
you.
enlightening.
thank you, Nick.
Nick, thank
I
you.
wanted to hear you,
Thank you,
Dennis,
everyone.
another time.
Everybody.
Thank
you, Nick.
Good night.